the last show I did with Jana, we did a show with some guys that were left over out of the Johnny Lee Wills band, Rocky Capel on steel guitar, Clarence Boyd was playing piano, Dwayne Boyd, and Claude Clemens on drums. These guys had all played with either John or Johnny Lee Wills or Bob Wills. And at that time, country music was so much different than it is now because when the artists first got records out, they couldn't afford a band, so they used pickup bands. And those guys were looking for a guitar player. And they said, "We heard that you're leaving Jana." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, we need a guitar player, and you're not the best country guitar player that we've heard, and you're not the best rock guitar player we've heard, but we're having problems because we need a guitar player that can play some rock and roll music because we're all kind of old and we can't play rock and roll music. We need a guitar player that can play some rock, sing some rock songs, but can play our country stuff too." He said, "You can do both of them. You're not the best at either one of them, but you can do both of them acceptable. Would you like to start playing with us?" Oh, it took me on the ride of my life. I mean, we did shows with everybody in the music business. And I added up one time, collectively, I've played with artists that have sold over 650 million records. And some of those big ones were like Garth Brooks or Reba or Johnny Russell. You know, Johnny Russell wrote the B-side of Yesterday, which was Act Naturally. And that was a huge seller. So after that band, the Liquor by the Drink went in 1984, and all the big clubs, all the big ballrooms went away. I kind of inherited that band, and I kept booking these shows with these big stars. By that time, I had all my pilot's ratings, and I could fly, so I could fly us around to shows and do different things. And there was enough money in it that we were able to afford to justify using an airplane for some of those things. And I just had a great time in my life. I mean, I got to play with Vince Gill, Elise Galar, and Amy Grant, and Garth, and did a lot of shows in the summer of '87 with Clint Black. But like I told my daughters and I told other people, said, "Well, why didn't you ever be a big star?" I said, "There's nothing being, like Johnny said, there's nothing about being a big star to it." When I played with those people, they weren't big stars. They were just getting their careers going. And so I got my nightly fee or whatever I'd get, plus the airplane or plus doing PA or sound and lighting. And then, well, I would make the jokes that when they hit it big and made a lot of money, they could hire a good guitar player. And there's some truth to that. And then a lot of those people, like when I played with Hank Thompson, their career was on the downhill side. So it's kind of the same dynamic that their bookings weren't paying them enough to be able to afford a whole band. So they would hire me to do those kind of things with them.